Look at this. We have the Rapid Reaction Band back together in the summertime. It's Drew Franklin, Jack Pilgrim, Zach Gagan. We got Jacob Polchek over there, little Joe B. Hall statue in front of us. And we're joining you today, and we're excited today because Mark Pope just had his first, I guess we'll call it, official press conference of the summer and of his new job at the Joe Kraft Center on campus. We heard from him on that magical Sunday in Rupp Arena. He spoke at the Club Blue event, but this is the first routine press conference with the media, first real time clocking in to answer questions, and he did so after they had their sixth practice this morning. We heard lots about that and really just what he's been up to since he took over the job. All of us will share a few takeaways. I will start with the cookies because being one of the first to arrive with Jacob, we looked up and there's a big plate of cookies on the table, and they tell us, everyone help yourself. Mark Pope era begins with free cookies for the media. So as a sucker for free food and someone who skipped lunch, that was a pleasant treat. Glad to have that. And really Pope, just with that same energy he's had since we've seen him in April. The man really appreciates being at UK, and I feel like he's still pinching himself about the job. We'll get into a little about the basketball practice to start. Jack, you've even had a post on KS Board about the basketball practice before this, but then they got into a little more of that. As I said, it was practice number 6 today. Just what are some of your takeaways from how the actual basketball is going so far?
Yeah, people that I have been at practice and have seen it have gone, this is weird, this is different. Whatever you thought of a Kentucky basketball practice under John Calipari, throw all of that in the dumpster because this is a brand new era. It's the instruction, it's the teaching, it's the accountability, it's just different little things that you just haven't seen in 15 years. So hearing kind of his side of the story was really unique, saying we're just all in on connectivity and making sure these guys are holding each other accountable. And I like that they're repeating my phrases back to me, like they're starting to get it, and it was a process, something that kind of takes time when you have 12 different voices and names coming together. It's going to be a minute. It's going to be a process for those things to kind of mesh. He said, I'm starting to kind of see the vision here of these things meshing. So 6 practices in, sounds like things are going extremely, extremely well. I think he named Andrew Carr, Lamont Butler, and Otega Oweh as his kind of early standouts.
It also sounds like things are going well on the construction site behind us. That is part of the Memorial Coliseum experience. We even heard a little bit while that Pope was talking, but Kenny Brooks' program, they got a new arena. It's around the corner. That's just part of working here. Zach will talk over the construction site going on there. What are some of the things you just thought from Pope? Let us know how things have been going so far in his first 6 practices.
Yeah, the one thing that has not changed in the new coaching eras is the continued construction here at Memorial, but goodness, they just decided to start it up even more. Yeah, pipe it down a little bit, would you, buddy? But I think my biggest takeaway, a lot of the stuff was kind of things that we've heard over, from his big, massive Sunday press conference. How excited he is to be the coach here. His approach to coaching, it's going to be a little bit different than maybe what we're used to. But I thought the best part of the whole press conferences was about 2 or 3 minutes left in it when Mitch Barnhart literally calls him up. I don't know if that was. Do we think that was real? First of all, he says timing. It was. He says that it was not planned, but it was actually he interrupted Mario's question. I think there's some KSR bias still going on here a little bit. But he took a call from Mitch Barnhart there. He said, Mitch, can I get you on speakerphone real quick? They didn't do that. I thought that would have been even more hilarious if they did. But he's a big jokester is what I'm kind of getting at so far from Pope. And that's something that we kind of like to hear. It's not sarcastic jokes. It's really like he kind of seems genuinely enthused and happy and just glowing to be here, if you want to use whatever adjective you're thinking about. But I'm just impressed with his whole approach to embracing being the Kentucky coach and what it means and all that. And we got a little bit of insight on his recruiting approach. How he's going to do things a little bit differently, but also still kind of the same as what we saw with recruiting the best of the best. But I thought that Barnhart phone call was the best part of the whole press conference, if I'm being honest.
That, and having been to 15 years of these, because I'm an old man, this one felt more like a conversation. I don't mean it's nothing about the past 15 years of them, but like Larry Vaught just walked by and he's wearing its Party Like 96 shirt. Pope immediately walks in and walks over to Larry. He's like, let me see that shirt. How are you doing? Where are you from? It just felt like we were having a conversation with someone, not so much even work and getting answers we're looking for to work. Jacob thought it was so relaxed. He was the first person to grab a cookie. This was a monumental moment in history. Pope's first press conference, the first batch of free cookies. And Jacob, what is this, year 2 of doing this? Just walks straight up and helps himself.
Well, I just saw everyone was too afraid to grab a cookie, and I'm like, they're here for a reason. So hey, after I did it, I saw Drew got one.
I did a cookie
I
review.
got one. It was pretty good.
Zach got one, so I'd like to think I'm a trendsetter.
Other than cookies, it also looked like you perked up when he said there was going to be a media tryout for the 13th spot. Was that?
I got a good hook shot, all right?
He's been working on his spin move, that's for sure.
But I'm committed to my softball team right now, so I cannot play on the Kentucky basketball.
He's still looking for a glove.
There was a
Beers.
question about that 13th spot, and since Jack asked it, we'll let you wrap that up. But yeah, still looking.
Yeah, and his answer was like, nothing has changed. We kind of called it a floating spot, said we were going to be patient with it, weren't going to rush to just sign somebody for the sake of signing someone. I asked if, 6 practices in, maybe his mindset has changed about, this is something we clearly need. Let's try to add more young talent. Let's go try to find an unsigned transfer portal guy, like what his approach would be. Singled out the international route, said that we're going to kind of monitor the summer. Usually that means reclass possibilities that could emerge, but very clearly saying the international path is something that he was going to explore and would even go travel internationally to go see if there's anybody like a Big Z or somebody of that nature that could kind of present themselves maybe late July, early August or something like that. So very TBD up to this point, but he did make it sound like there would be somebody filling that 13th spot, even if it had to be a media tryout.
Yeah, we got more billboard money if he finds someone we need to get eligible. He also mentioned the trip to Buenos Aires where I had to mess with the clutch. The stick shift wasn't used to that, and it sounded like he broke some traffic laws there.
Yeah, he even asked if they still make stick shifts, and it got me thinking, do they even? I assume they do. I drove a stick shift growing up.
Oh, wow.
But another couple quick hitters from there that I want to bring up. I think he mentioned that the TBT that's about to start, they're having a press conference for it tomorrow. I think he said that those players will be able to be around the current players, maybe practice with them. There's some sort of NCAA rule that they're allowed to do that. He also said the schedule is coming together quite nicely. I think we've gotten some confirmed news over that this week, but he said that's coming along. And then he also was very vague about adding maybe 1 or 2 more coaching staff pieces, but he didn't really say that they would be he wasn't really saying that they will be, a GM type role, but he implied that they were trying to add or round out the staff, maybe a couple more pieces, but he was very vague about what they would do and kind of what their roles would be, who they would be. But those were some other things that are now coming to me that I remembered. Jacob has
the other thing that stood out to me during this was just the emphasis on how aggressive they've been in practice and putting together a new roster with all new players, just diving right in and going full force ahead. I think that's really important because that was the biggest question I had with all these new players. How quickly can they get adjusted?
I had some questions, but KSR just kept asking questions. We couldn't have done the whole press conference. I think we had 6 hands up at one time.
I got
one
denied.
more for me on my walk over. A young man up on, what we call that, not Euclid, Avenue of Champions, walking towards me, and I saw from a distance that guy's got on an NBA draft combine shirt. Walked right past Jackson Robinson, and I was walking in. Got me thinking, Pope even mentioned this, with so many new pieces and guys having to get used to this new system after 6 practices. He said there's moments where Jackson Robinson kind of interrupts him and explains to the players, this is what he means, this is what he wants us to do. So it's good to see the, I guess call him the NBA prospect of the bunch is also stepping up in a leadership role. Anything else you want to add before we part ways from this construction site?
I guess on that note, the NBA draft is tomorrow. He said that is going to continue to be a special event for Kentucky. I know it was kind of a taboo topic under Cal that he called that the biggest night in the history of the program. It's not, but said that it all kind of aligns with one another. You bring in elite talent so they hang banners and then can go on and win, big at the NBA level. So he said, I can't wait to see what happens with Reed, can't wait to see what happens with Rob and all the other guys. And talking about his recruiting philosophy, said that, BYU had their own filters for obvious, culture, religious reasons. He said that they have their own filters in Lexington, that you got to be good enough to play at Kentucky. We're not going to just bring in scrubs. This is the University of Kentucky. We have resources that nobody else has in college basketball. So that those things kind of align with one another. You will bring in NBA talent so they can help you win banners and then be celebrated on draft night like we're going to see with Reed and Rob tomorrow night. So the NBA conversation is not going anywhere under Mark Pope.
Man, I'm getting excited. It's like June 25th. All I can hear is this guy drilling over here, but sitting behind Joe B, talking to you guys. It's been a while since we've done a rapid reaction. You're playing dad all the time now. You're about to take your first vacation since Brandon Boston was on the team. I don't see much Jacob. It was just exciting to have the rapid reaction crew together. We heard from Pope. Speaking of Joe B, I thought it was very cool. Pope was very complimentary of past coaches, including Cal. Went out his way several times to thank Cal for being so gracious and all the things he's done here and following those shoes. Mentioned Tubby, Rick. It was a great day to be a Kentucky basketball fan in the middle of summer. Very unexpected, and we're hoping to hear from Mark Pope a lot more. And I hope you'll stick with us here on the KSR YouTube channel. You can also find Sources Say. We got a million things going on as we cover this team and all the other UK sports. But we appreciate you sticking with us through here, and it was good talking to you. We miss these.